like to welcome everybody to another edition of the Major Music Lounge podcast. It's your boy D Dot, along with Austin James. Also, if you notice the attire, another fellow Raider fan. It's always good to have another fellow Raider fan on the show with me. In fact, it's kind of ironic that we're doing this interview today, and it's just the preseason, but
Thought
they're
about this
about to
too.
play in a couple of minutes. So, with that being said, what's good, Austin?
Man, I'm just hoping Jimmy G stays healthy. I hope we have a good season. And aside from that, I mean, man, football season's coming up, so it's going to be the ultimate balance. Just been
Yeah,
just trying to stay in overdrive with this music stuff, so at least like for this time of the year, fantasy football goes crazy. I got I think 3 or 4 leagues I'm in this year. So I gotta be on my P's and Q's.
man. Yeah, it's between that because you got football starting in 2.5, 3 weeks, looks like it.
Mm-hmm.
And then 2 months after that, we got the NBA season. I don't know how big of an NBA fan you are, but I'm a pretty big NBA guy myself, and balancing all of that along with the music, along with everything else, it's that
Mm-hmm.
time of the year, but I love it. I love it all,
Oh,
man.
most definitely. Most definitely.
So tell us a little bit about, I like to always start off uh about your journey as a creator. How long have you been creating music, and whether it's people that are close to you and your family, or maybe some friends, or maybe it might be someone's music, but who are some of your influences?
Man, so the first time I realized that I really loved hip hop music was in high school. I graduated, I was in the class of 2012, and I think it was like 2011, 2012, some shit like that. Me and my homies were at my house hanging out. I lived in Alabama at the time too. My parents were separated, so I lived down in Alabama for like 7.5 years, 8 years. And we were just chilling at the house. For some reason, Ice Cream Paint Job came on and that instrumental came on. And I spazzed for like a minute straight. And that's when I realized, like, oh, okay. And then I started taking it seriously when my brother got locked up. I want to say he's out now, thank God. It was like 9 years ago. So it was more or less of like, hold on, let me show you that if you stick your mind in something, you could do basically whatever you want to do and get it done.
Yeah,
So
man.
it turned into a habit at that point.
Man, and it like, one, I like your flow, just kind of
Appreciate
listening
that.
to your music, no problem. And also like your sound, you sing and you also rap. And
Hmm.
like I guess the next question would be like, what led you? Is it maybe one, you talked about rapping first, getting inspired like by Ice Cream Paint Job. But like, what came first, the rapping or the singing?
Oh, rapping, rapping first. My singing voice still needs some work, but after a certain while of just writing, I got so many notebooks, bro. It's crazy. So after a certain point, it was just kind of repetitive to me, and I know that I can become a more versatile artist, and that could eventually bring out my individuality and my craft. So I used to listen to just random rock bands when I was a kid, like Linkin Park, uh Creed, like all like just so old, like older stuff, at least for like people who say, for example, in Mikey's group chat. Shout out to Mikey, by the way.
Shout out to
And
Mike.
that man is a workhorse when it comes to the social media marketing. I love that. So I feel like a lot of people in that particular generation wouldn't really know Creed, things like that. But I definitely like to emulate that '08 sound,
Yeah.
that kind of like that early rock sound. For some reason it just feels more natural that way. I used to listen to a lot of music around that era too. So just trying to find some way to bring those two and make my own bridge for it. So that way when they hear that particular sound, they're like, oh, that's Austin James.
Yeah, man. Because around that time, like that you're talking, that's what it brought me back to that. Because I was working at Best Buy in the music area,
Mm,
and I could remember, like you were saying with Creed, a lot of their projects coming out around that time. And we'd have it playing on the loudspeaker at work, whatever the new release was at that time. So,
right.
kind of listening to your music, that's the vibes that I got as well. So next question would be you have a online presence online that I think is much needed in 2023 for, being a creator, whether you're artist or whether you're a producer. And
Mm.
one of the things that I also notice is, you post your work and you also engage your followers. How has just staying active online as a creator helped you grow as an artist or, just learning how to market yourself online?
As far as marketing myself online, I just like to be vulnerable. I like to make sure that my heart's on my sleeve because I notice that we live in a world where a lot of people, or basically everybody, has something they're going through, and 99% of the people are just very, very good at hiding it. I want to be a part of that 1% that could kind of just make it easier for everybody to talk about their problems. And that's where, like, at least it motivates me to engage in social media. So I'm not the biggest fan, to be 100% honest about it. I think just the connectivity of being on the phone at all times, it does create this wall for creative juices to stop flowing, setting a standard that's very, very unrealistic in certain aspects. So that's why, like, I mean, I'm gonna eventually start making high quality stuff where like music videos and things like that are gonna start rolling out. But in the meantime, I want people to know that like artists are still humans at the end of the day. They still have emotions, they still have to process things. And we're honestly one of the few in the world that can take our emotions and transmute them into something completely different. It could go from negative to positive, positive from negative, whatever we decide. But I want people to feel comfortable with being themselves on social media, not having to worry about, oh, am I looking good in this photo? Am I reaching the right group of people with this group of words or whatever? Just be your
Yeah,
fucking self. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
that's where I really, really want to like at least at the end of whatever this road is, at least know that like I've helped change people's mindsets on that kind of thing. Solid.
Yeah, man. It's kind of the same for me here. Like one of the things you talked about just being yourself on social media, and for me that's kind of helped me as well because I mean, I went through phases, when when Instagram first started, that's when I was kind of going out a lot, doing a lot of performances and just
Mhm.
taking a lot of photos, just wanting to be seen. But, getting a little older, living, learning, through past mistakes. And, what I've kind of grown to is, just exactly that, showing people like just different sides of myself, not just with music, being myself, but like um on YouTube, for example, I had surgery earlier this year and I've kind of documented my journey through that. And
Right on.
it's helped me connect with other people maybe that they want to talk about their own personal situation, whether it's something physical or whether it's something mental, but more so using social media to um help connect with other followers and other potential fans, but it's also helped, just like yourself. Mikey made that post in the group about the podcast, and it's helped
Hmm.
me network with other people as well. So, I kind of utilize it mainly for networking and connecting with others, whether that are fans of the music or, I put out tutorials and things like that on YouTube as well. So it's helped
Yes, sir.
me build from that standpoint. And people can recognize too whether you're
Hmm.
authentic or whether you're not.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And just listening in, you sent me a folder, Google Drive folder I went through. One of the tracks that I liked that was in that folder was Choice. And then I also went to your Apple Music and I listened to you had to release a new single called Reality. Now those
Hmm.
are two different vibes there. That's kind of what I was talking about earlier. Now, one thing I gotta ask, because listening to Reality, um, do you play guitar or like you got that beat from somebody?
I actually found that beat. I need to improve a little bit more on my production side before I start getting comfortable with doing all the production mixing. Because I mixed myself. I got my whole recording set up here. I don't have any natural instruments. I want to be able to start doing live audio recordings and things like that. I have a buddy who's in a metal band and he plays guitar. He's the guy who taught me also how to do all my vocal engineering stuff. So I'm getting to that particular point where I can start like getting a good mix down on the beats. For some reason, it's so much easier to mix my vocals than it is to mix a beat. Have you,
Yeah.
is it the same thing for you?
Yeah, I would say so. But that's like for me, I always kind of like think of mixing. I've never really had that background, and it's more of like a never-ending process for me because I'm never truly satisfied.
Yeah,
So
you
sometimes
there's
I got,
always room for growth. There's
yeah,
always room for growth.
I
I
gotta
feel
push
that.
myself to release projects. And I'm like, okay, well, this you're not hearing much of a difference in the sound now, and
Right.
sometimes I may send it off for somebody else to mix with.
I feel that. Yeah, I've been recording with a new group of people these last few months. Great people. It's very, very influential to be around them too because they bring that out of me where say for example, there was a night last week where we had like 6 people and just getting that feel of like all right tuning this voice and then mixing down this voice compressing this voice EQing this voice and just finding the right transitional points for all of them and then it kind of dawned on me like damn I should really start making beats for everybody like I'd probably be helpful get myself out of the restaurant industry at some point one way or another.
So, what kind of setup? Like you use Pro Tools or
I'm a Logic guy.
Logic? Okay, all right. Me
Logic all
too.
day.
Me too.
Hey, let's go.
Yeah, let's go. Let's go. And like you said, you want to get into making beats. That's a really good place to start too.
Hmm.
Like I love Logic for production as well. I went through like Logic 9, Logic 10, and I even got Logic on the iPad. And I use some other DAWs as well, but I do most of my vocals in Logic, maybe sometimes on my iPad and another app called Cubases. But
Hmm.
just having that home setup, like one of the things I always think that every artist, I know some artists like to go to outside studios, and that's cool, as long as you got a place to record. But I also think that it's very important for um, a lot of artists to have a home setup because
Right.
when those ideas hit, I remember like when I didn't have a home setup, and when you might write your lyrics down, but the vibe just ain't the same,
Hmm.
from there in the moment versus okay, if I write this song now and then I go to studio, I can drop it there. And how has that helped you as far as being able to? Because another thing I notice is you're very consistent with your releases. Like you released
Hmm.
a lot of singles. How has that helped you as far as a creator, being consistent with your releases?
I think as far as having my home set up, first and foremost, the most important thing in my eyes has been the development of my sound. Because everybody has this studio standard of how music should be sounding and everything. In my case, I like to make different kinds of music, so I want to find a way to find a sound that fits all of those molds, but still is recognizable to be under my name. So at least finding that comfortability in that aspect makes it easier to stand behind the music that I make.
Yeah.
That making it that much easier to just be like, all right, DistroKid, I'm gonna go ahead plan out this month, and then I'm just gonna start stacking more stuff into the folders like that, like I do with the Google Drive, and then plan out the next portion. But right now, I release pretty consistently when it came to like just like every other week or every week. I'm working on a project now where it can kind of just highlight that diversity and just more or less just show that you can make whatever you want and it be good music and people will still love it.
Yeah.
At least that's the idea. Well, fingers crossed.
Yeah, what you said, it that's also another thing is having that Google Drive. I'm sure, you get an idea, and you talked about Mikey and his work ethic. Um
Hmm.
I'm very impressed with that. He's been on this show as well.
Hmm.
But like I think the more often you work, yeah, you will eventually develop that sound, and you're gonna feel a little bit more comfortable every time you start to release music until you get to a point where it's just comfortable. And there's been several projects, even most recently. I may record, I don't know, 15, 20 tracks, but I might end up picking 10 of those tracks to be
Hmm.
on the album. And then the other 10, maybe they don't make the album, but somewhere later down the line, I might put those on something else. But, it just gives you an idea. And then repetition, all together. You're
Hmm.
gonna fine tune, if you're a rapper, you're gonna fine tune your flow. You should fine tune your flow.
Yeah.
And then same thing if you're a singer as well. Um, yeah, man. And then what other plans for like 2023 do you have as an artist? Are you working towards an album, or you're gonna kind of stick with the plan of singles?
I gotta. I'm trying to decide right now if it should be 8 or 10 songs on this next project I'm dropping. It's gonna be maybe at the end of September, or I might push it to Halloween. But I'm gonna drop a couple of the songs off of that project that I'm working on in between that time. And while doing that, I'm gonna be doing try to at least get a couple shows in, and
Okay.
then just do the word of mouth promotion as well as social media marketing. Just constantly trying to find something that hasn't been done yet. That's kind of my focus when it comes to the social media marketing of it. I want some sort of like, oh, I've never seen this done before when something with my music related is popping up. So just I'm gonna be working on that. I wanna get a couple. I have an idea for a video. I'm waiting to hear back from somebody to hopefully get that ball rolling. And I'm also waiting on possible couple features on so say for example that song Love Yourself on the Google Drive. I got this girl I'm really trying to get. I want like that female perspective of that song concept on that song. I feel like that would be the perfect lead single. So I'm just going to talk about that and casually manifest that. So hopefully that comes out pretty soon. So yeah, just mainly just want to start branching out, and in the process of this whole rollout, just finding new artists that have that like-mindedness and just kind of work with them and see where it goes.
Yeah, man. And you mentioned doing shows. Where are you from?
I'm from the Eastbay.
He's Cali.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And what's the music scene like in your city?
Um, well, where I live at in Concord, it's be honest with you, I think there was a rapper that was doing pretty good, and he ended up having a kid. I haven't heard from him in a minute. Um, Pretty quiet,
Pretty chill.
pretty chill. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's where
Okay.
that a lot of room. At least in the area that I live in, it's like 4 million people. My buddy told me that the other day. I'm like, damn, 4 million people. That's a lot of people I could get tuned into my music. So I want to start figuring out ways to just like you've been in the Bay Area, right?
I have not. I have not been to Bay Area,
Man, it's something else, bro. It's amazing. I love it here.
man.
So a lot of like street performers and things like that. That's one of the things I've been meaning to knock off my list of things to do as an artist is put your ego to the side, stand on the sidewalk for a little bit, toss out some tapes, even perform your music on the sidewalk where you know you're not getting paid or anything like that. I've been itching to do that, so I think I'm gonna do that pretty soon. Go out to San
And
Francisco, go to the wharf, even go to Oakland, find a cool area out there, Lake
man,
Merritt.
I might be headed out there. I actually did a track with another artist from the Bay by name of Zach One. Also been on this show, but we did a collaboration track, and he wants to do a video, so I might be coming out there for that. I've been to Southern California though, and then I went to Allegiant Stadium last year to
Oh
see the
man,
Raiders.
still haven't done that yet.
Man, definitely recommend it, man. I might try to get out there this year before the season is over. But man, I had a blast. We went they had played the Texans and they had won that game. But I did that and then I took a tour the next day and got to see like the locker room, the three Super Bowl trophies, Mark
Man,
Davis suite. Uh, man, it was a pretty cool experience, man.
I wish Mark Davis would have given Oakland that chance like he did in Vegas. I don't know if that's kind of stepping on toes in any type of way, but as an Oakland Raider fan, when I found out they went to Vegas, I was like, damn, they deserve it, but damn, it's gonna take so long to get out there.
Man, yeah, it and they're letting the A's, they're going to Vegas too, huh?
Yeah,
Man,
I feel bad for Oakland though. That's they're taking everything away from that city.
I
But
think that it was saying the mayor didn't want to give the
jacking up
fund.
rent prices.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, same thing. Like the overall Coliseum. I don't know what they plan on doing with that, but it's just the California inflation prices are too much, way
yep,
too much, especially for any organization that's trying to thrive in Oakland right now. It's just
yeah. I'm
not
in
really the best time
Texas,
for that.
and we're getting a lot of people from the West Coast in Texas.
Hmm. I know a
Man,
shit ton of people that have moved down to Texas. I'm like, get some sweet tea for me, please. I miss sweet tea so much, man. You can't find that shit out here.
man, got a lot of that.
Man.
Man. So before we end the show, man, since we are talking about the Raiders, um, what are your expectations for this season? Because it's a lot of change, I feel. I
Hmm.
mean, everything from Jimmy, we got some new guys on defense. Hearing some great things about the defense, by the way, in training camp, and we'll see if it translates to the season. But I feel like, and I hope, that I want to say we can't get any worse than last year, but there actually could be.
There
Uh,
is room. There's room for error.
but I think
Oh.
a solid 9 games. I think they could have a chance with 9 games if they won this year. I would like to see 10, but we'll see. We got to take some baby steps first if we could see where we land
Hmm.
from there. A lot depends on Jimmy G's health. But what's your thoughts about going into next season? Well, this coming season.
So one thing I'm worried about, so you notice that kind of like play style offense where like say for example the Tennessee Titans with Ryan Tannehill and Derrick Henry.
Yeah, yeah,
You remember that dynamic that Tannehill had where he would throw maybe 9 or 10 passes a game?
yeah,
If that's how it's gonna go for Jimmy G, because he did that a lot. Like even in the Super Bowl, in the last Super Bowl that he played in, he only threw like 10, 12 passes, something like that.
yeah. I remember. Yeah,
So if we could find a way to make that work and not put too much of a workload in on Josh Jacobs and who's that new cat we got? Tripping.
Zamir,
Yeah. If
Zamir
if we find
White.
a yeah, if we find a way to at least even out that workload and Jimmy actually consistently plays his role of where we need him to play at, I think 9 wins is a solid goal. It's just a matter of staying healthy. Our man, I hope our offensive line pulls through. So that was a painful thing. A few years back, I was at work. I work in the food industry, so I've seen a handful of professional athletes. I recognized Kelechi Osemele
Oh
a
yeah.
few years back, and I was so excited. All my coworkers, they were like, "How are you going to just assume he's a football player?" I'm like, "I'm a Raiders fan. Charles Woodson came in here and I geeked out when he came in, so I know who's who. And I made a bet with everybody. I went up to him, dropped off his food. I was like, "Hey, bro, I just wanted to thank you for guarding my man Derek Carr in real life. And then whenever I play Madden, keep doing your thing." He dapped me up and everything. So like that from that moment on, that's when I started keeping in touch. Like, all right, who's replacing my boys? Who's replacing Kelechi Osemele? who's replacing all the like we had such a solid offensive line for years.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's offensive line, secondary defense, and quarterback. Those are three essential spots that we need to be A1 in if we are going to have a successful season. So I'm going to be keeping my fingers crossed for that.
Man, same here, man. It's I think a lot will depend on Jimmy's health. And also for me, McDaniel's play calling. I
Mm,
thought last year in certain situations at the end of games, I didn't like some of the play calling down the stretch when, throwing the football on 3rd and 1 when you got Josh Jacobs back there. Like, I
right.
just didn't get situations like that. Um, and man, tell a quick story before, we go. I had actually met Michael Crabtree at my job, probably like 2017 before that season. They
Mm-hmm.
didn't do well that 2017 season, but same thing, man. Like I was across the building, across the store, and I'm looking at this guy and I'm like, man, this dude looks familiar. So I walk up to him and he wanted to buy a computer, and I got the computer out for him and everything, and I looked at the credit card and I was like, whoa, Michael Crabtree. And he was pretty cool, man. Got a picture with him and everything. And yeah, and
That's cool.
I was pretty excited the rest of my shift. And
Man,
I went
I would be juiced. No one could tell me no. Like I just met Michael Crabtree. Can't ruin my day.
man, and I live in Dallas, so I hear it from a lot of Cowboys fans that, you
Mm-hmm.
know, you live here and you're not a Cowboys fan, and they talk a lot of shit all the time, and just to rub that in their face that
You,
day, it felt good.
yeah, you talk some sense into them. I had a Cowboys fan that used to live down the street from me. When I was a kid, left the worst taste in my mouth when it comes to Cowboys fans. Like, I'm not knocking every single Cowboys fan. Like, I've met some pretty solid ones, but there's some that are just that act like they got more dimension than Jerry Jones, and that shit's wild to me.
It's crazy, man. Don't get me started. I deal with them year round. They're just delusional.
I know it, I know it.
Man, tell our listeners, man, where can they find yourself online, and where can they find your music at?
All right, so let me make sure I'm doing the Instagram right. Just real quick, but on all platforms you could find me as Austin James. There's a money sign in my first name instead of a regular S because I'm a very firm believer on manifesting the future you want for yourself. So you could find me as Austin James with the money sign on all platforms. And then Austin James 2.0 underscore on Instagram. And then hi, my name is Austin James on TikTok. I don't really get active on Twitter since they turned to X. Facebook is Facebook, so that's that. But yeah, you can find me on all platforms as Austin James, money sign. And there's gonna be a lot of stuff coming. So stay tuned for that. It's gonna be pretty exciting, and the ball is not gonna stop rolling from that point either. So it'll be cool just to have more people grow. And I appreciate you giving your time to help me branch that out too. Very,
Oh
very
man,
appreciative of that.
no problem at all. And I wanted to also say that, I appreciated you for, we were trying to make this happen, but, it's unfortunate circumstances. Hope everything is going good now. And just for reaching out to me, man, because, I've had times in the past where, sometimes some people have things going on. It's totally understandable, but, they don't
Right.
even show up and it's no notice. And, I really appreciate you hitting me up. So,
Oh, of
um,
course, man. I was super excited from the jump. So when my mom had her little foot thing happen, I was like, oh man, well she comes first. Doesn't matter. No
yeah,
matter
yeah.
what, mom's is first. But I'm really glad because from my angle too, a lot of people would have been like, oh man, he flaked on me once. Oh, it's all bad. But I appreciate you, bro. I appreciate that a lot.
No problem at all, man. Y'all can follow me on Instagram at Dee Dot _ major music, as well as same thing on Threads. And If you like this episode, go ahead, hit the subscribe button and hit the like button as well. And you can listen to new episodes of the Major Music Lounge, not only on YouTube, but also all podcast streaming platforms. And until next time, it's Dee Dot and Austin James, and we're out.
Hey, cruise control turned on as I'm coasting. Never speak on it, put the plan in forward motion. Make adjustments on the fly, you would think I'm coaching. Stick to the plan, look ahead, forward motion. Cruise control turned on as I'm coasting. Never speak on it, put the plan in forward motion. Make adjustments on the fly, you would think I'm coaching. Stick to the plan, look ahead, forward motion.